So when the Galaxy Z Fold 7 came out, everyone said, yes, this is time for foldables. This is the foldable to get. And Honor said, well, hold my beer, because this is the Honor Magic V5. Now the V5 is what Honor deems to be the thinnest foldable out there on the market, but Samsung begs to differ. So in this video, we're gonna be checking out the Honor Magic V5 versus the Galaxy Z Fold 7 to find out which is the best foldable in comparisons from the speakers to display, gaming, camera, battery life, all that fun stuff. So let's jump in. Honor really stepped up their game with the Magic V5 from all accounts. Now, to be fair, every Honor device that they've released in the Magic V series has been progressively thinner, and they've been thinner than what Samsung has offered until now. Now, the Magic V5 is said to be the thinnest smartphone, and when you look at side by side to the Galaxy, you really can't tell. I feel the Galaxy is still thinner. The Honor is thinner on one side of it, the side that doesn't have the camera hub. It's just a little bit thinner there, but not the whole thing. So I don't understand how they do their measurements. But that being said, it's a very thin device. It's also well built. The hardware looks absolutely gorgeous. You look at the back, I have this brown faux leather feel here, really nice. The gold trim around it, especially around the camera bump, is a centralized camera bump, and you do have a periscopic camera built in there, which is nice to see. Now, the overall build of this device feels very luxurious and very nice. USB Type-C port, you've got dual firing speakers, and it feels very comfortable. Now, one thing that Honor does well compared to Samsung is that it does come with its own case. Now, this case also matches the color of the device, looks really nice and feels comfortable. Kind of snap it in. And the beauty about this case is also that it comes with a built-in kickstand, which is something that Samsung doesn't offer. You do have to buy the Samsung carbon fiber case, or any case you want to, separately. It's a nice case, but I like the fact that they included it in here because these devices are expensive and also, dare I say, a little bit fragile. Now, besides that, under the hood, we've got a Snapdragon 8 Elite chipset built into the device, similar on the Galaxy Z Fold 7. But when it comes to the batteries, that's where things differ, right? It really differs there. Honor has a 5,820 milliamp battery. Yes, it's a massive battery in here. And that doesn't sway from its size compared to the 4,900 milliamps on the Galaxy Z Fold 7. Now, when it comes to weight, the Galaxy is definitely lighter at 215 pounds. We actually weighed it on our own personal scale compared to like the 225 of the Honor. But, you know, they're still kind of relative in a sense, although the Galaxy does feel lighter. But that bigger battery only adds so much. Now, why is that different? Because they go with silicon carbon batteries compared to Samsung using traditional lithium batteries. But here's the thing about silicon carbon batteries is that there's of course a lot of talk about how many charge cycles you have. And GSM Arena actually provides some of that info for me. The silicon carbon battery here on the Honor gives you about 1,200 charge cycles compared to 2,000 charge cycles on the Galaxy. So theoretically, the Galaxy battery will last longer than the battery here on the Honor Magic V5. So a win for Samsung there in terms of the battery, but everything else battery related, the Honor wins. The Honor has a bigger battery. The Honor battery also charges faster at 66 watts, wired charging and wireless charging at 50 watts, compared to the 25 watt charging for the Z Fold 7 wired and 15 watt charging wireless, which is not good. Samsung, we definitely need better. So that is a win for Honor. Displays. So with the Honor, you do have a external display at 6.45 inches compared to the 6.5 inches. As you can see, when you stack the devices together, the Z Fold is slightly taller, which makes it a little longer in height compared to the more natural look and feel for the Honor Magic V5. In terms of typing on that cover display, both of them feel comfortable and easy to use, so there's nothing wrong there. When we open them up, this is where we see the internal displays. Honor's is 7.95 inches compared to the 8 inches of the Galaxy. And again, it's quite visible, even though it's so minuscule in terms of the size difference there, but you can see the difference in sizes. And there I say again, I think it's still both fine. Both displays look really good, very vibrant, very sharp displays altogether. So I think on the display front, we kind of have a tie in that department. So let's talk camera. Cameras are really important for smartphones, and it also is very important for these two devices as well. Honor comes with a 50, 64 periscopic and 50 cameras on the rear here with this camera housing, while the Galaxy comes with 210 and 12 megapixels there. So you have that main 200 megapixel sensor, which we have in the S25 Ultra on this device as well. Now for the front-facing cameras on the cover display, Honor has a 20 megapixel, Samsung has a 10 megapixel. And this is where, honestly, with the cameras though, it's a very interesting dynamic. So take a look at some photos and we'll come back. So here you see that with some of the photos, daytime photos, just general photos look absolutely gorgeous on both devices, very solid all the way. Now when it comes to zoom, when you get to 10x zoom, both the Galaxy and the Honor Magic V5 do really well. That's where it ends for zoom because the Galaxy Z Fold 7 doesn't really have a good external zoom like say the S25 Ultra, something I mentioned that we should have on this device. Honor does well at 30x and even up to 100x, where it's a bit birchy, but still something that the Z Fold 7 doesn't have. So on the zoom side, Honor kind of takes the win here. Now, when we look at other aspects of photography and we look at some of the low light photography, there we can see that the Galaxy does a better job, I think, in my opinion. And also even with skin tone, as you look at the image with Danny Wingett, you can see on the Galaxy, it just looks a little bit better while some of the colors of Danny's shirt kind of blends in with the skin color on the Honor in terms of the photography there. Now, when it comes to video, I think the Galaxy is just much better in video than the Honor. So on those aspects, the Galaxy wins on camera. So if zoom is really important for you, then the Honor is the way to go. But in terms of overall camera, I think the Galaxy takes the win here. Now we talked about cameras, and that's something people use a lot on their smartphones, but what about gaming? You guys know that I love to game, so these are two devices that are built well for gaming. So with the cover display 6.5 inches and 6.45, and the internal displays that are also 8 inches or 7.95, you do have a nice large real estate for both gaming purposes on both devices. But here's the thing, both devices run Snapdragon 8 Elite. One, of course, is for Galaxy, one's for Elite, which means you should get good performance. But I wanted to check out Delta Force Mobile because that game supports 144 frames per second, which I wanted to test out to see. So on the Galaxy, I couldn't go up to 120 frames per second. I went to HD, and the maximum I was getting while playing was 61 frames per second, which is still good. Very smooth gameplay, very nice. Now, on the Honor Magic V5, I was able to go up to 120 frames per second. Now, I couldn't record it because for whatever reason, my recorder wasn't showing that, and also the game center on here didn't actually power up. Don't know why, but I was able to move my settings to 120 frames per second, which is nice to see. So theoretically, the gaming experience is better on the Honor, at least for this game. But it's the same chipset, so I think this is something that software has, of course, to do with some updating left and right just to see if that works. But it's good to see that Honor can actually go up to 120 frames per second with certain games like this. But in gaming, honestly, I think it's more fair and balanced. But because you play games and you have speakers built into it, speaker test is next. So let's take a listen to both speakers on the Honor Magic V5 and the Galaxy Z Fold 7. Very nice. Now, I will say that I feel that both did a really good job. I feel like the overall balance on the Z Fold was better. I think the Honor was slightly louder. I could be wrong, but that is just where my balance is. So I think, the Honor still sounds really good and clear, but I think the balance was better in the Galaxy Z Fold 7. So when it comes to software, we're all running Android and of course different baked versions of Android for this. Now, this all depends on what you like and what, fits your usability. I like what Samsung does and also likes a lot of the AI features. Honor has some really good AI features as well, but I do like the fact that it blends pretty well with what Gemini is doing and we get those updates there. So I think it will be faster for you to get some of those Gemini updates if you're looking for something like that on the Galaxy than the Honor. But it still will come to the Honor anyway because of course supports Android and those updates are gonna be coming on every device. To be honest, it depends on your flavor and what you like. And I think that's the most important thing there. But I do like the fact that Honor software feels very smooth, doesn't feel laggy at all. And also we're seeing more from what the device can do in the first place. At the end of the day, this is a very interesting battle, and especially one that is divided by region. If you're in the US, it doesn't matter. Galaxy Z Fold 7 wins because this is the only device you can buy. You cannot buy the Honor here, and that's just a fact. Now you can buy it off eBay and things like that, so that's there, but the Honor V5 brings a very interesting proposal. I like the fact that it's got the Periscope, because this is something we're now used to, so Samsung, please put that in the Z Fold 7. I love the fact that also it comes with the case. Nice case, really polished with a kickstand. I do like how thin this device is, but honestly, let's not call it the thinnest. It's like micromillimeters and nobody cares about that. Let's talk about the battery life on this device because it has ridiculous battery life with 5,820 milliamps and feels just as light as the Galaxy is impressive. Plus the faster charging is 66 watts and 50 watts wireless charging. Again, another impressive feat. This is something that we want to see push in the industry as much as possible, and I'm glad that Honor is doing this here. So if you're in the international waters, this might be a better fit for you because of the longer battery life. When it comes to the camera though, I still think the camera on the Galaxy is better as an all-arounder, but of course that periscope zoom works pretty well here. So those are my thoughts. I do like the Honor Magic V5. I like what Honor's bringing to the table. I can't wait to see more. So if you think the Honor Magic V5 is the best foldable, leave your thoughts down below. Or if you think the Galaxy is the device that won, I want to hear your thoughts. I think it's more of a minutia here than most people think. So leave your thoughts down below. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and always enjoy your entertainment.